Excellent. Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to everybody online. Missed you. Baruch Hashem. Welcome to everybody in person. Shalom Aleichem to our visitors. Shalom Aleichem. Baruch Hashem. Okay. So Chesed Hashem, we are restarting. We're restarting after Pesach, a new Moichin. Whether we understand it or not, whether we feel it or not, we're starting now our new year. When we speak about a beginning of the year, so we have a Rosh Hashanah, which is the beginning of the year, and we have a Nisan of the beginning of the year. The Rosh Hashanah for everybody starts Rosh Hashanah, and Rosh Hashanah for Bnei Yisrael, if we allow it, starts Nisan time. So wishing everyone a good, gebenched year, a beautiful, beautiful, holy, wonderful, wondrous year ahead. Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. And I want to start off with number one, the Chassan and Kala, who will remain anonymous though. They should have bracha v'atzlacha shetivne bais ne'eman b'Yisrael. And as well, thank you to two beautiful families, Reb Michal and his family, and the Yavins. They should go from strength to strength. Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. And just a continuous success for the Chaburas. We went through the Chaburas. We went through Motzei Shabbos Chabura, one of the Shiurim, Sunday night Chabura, and as well Tuesday night Chabura. They should have bracha, mazel, and hatzlacha. They are the men's evening Chabura, and we have Wednesday morning women's Chabura. They should have bracha, mazel, and hatzlacha b'chol inyonim, be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. And as well, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu take the energy of this shir and distribute it how HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees it fit. Be'ezras Hashem, to help our nation. I can tell you how I think it should be distributed, but believe it or not, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows better. So I'll leave it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. So as well, Yortzeit today, Dina ben Reuven, Diana Oshman, Dina Bas Reuven, Diana Oshman, she should have Elias Neshama, Be'ezras Hashem, and be a Melitz Yasha for us. Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. And as well, Reisha Gevurah bas Yaakov HaKohen Leilu Nishmas, and Chaya Sarah bas Yehuda Leib Leilu Nishmas, and as well, Yaakov Binyamin ben Rachamim, and Rufu Shalema, Be'ezras Hashem, she should go from strength to strength. Mayan bas Gevurah Hadassah, and Reb Feivel ben Toiba Fei. Be'ezras Hashem. And spend a moment just before we move forward. Spend a moment davening. Take a moment. We're together. Spend a moment. Daven your own davening. For mamash, 5-10 seconds for yourself, friends, family, for Am Yisrael. Think about things you don't normally think about. Spend a moment daven. Just ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply. Okay, Tov. So I had a question as we get back into things. Somebody asked if I can speak a few minutes about Sefirah Omer and how Sefirah Omer ties into what we're learning, because I said a principle at the beginning that there's a foreground to Yiddishkeit and a background to Yiddishkeit. The background to Yiddishkeit is understanding that we are at Tzelem Elokim. What's at Tzelem Elokim? That a Kodesh Baruch Hu created us a certain way. Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh, and then all the higher worlds as a Chai and Yechida, and it touches up back to the source of all sources, the Shairesh of all Shorashim, Ein Sof. And what we want, and the part of the healing process that we are working on, not just discovering, but discovering and understanding and owning. First, we've spoke about this, first is cerebral. To make changes experientially takes time. However, just to turn up and listen to this language time and time again, the wanting is to recognize deeply this is tiv'i, this is natural. And you have all the information inside of you right now. Everything that I will ever say Everything that I'll ever say, I have a belief that you have it all inside of you right now. And the Mahalach and the Messiah that, Baruch Hashem, I learned from my teachers was the belief. Their belief to me that I have everything inside of me. And the more I hear this communication, this language, all that's going to happen is I realize, oh yeah, kapshutai, this is how I work. And what we want is to remember. To remember. You already know this. It's a remembering. And it's a linear self-remembering. It's a national remembering. It's a cosmic remembering. After Chet Adam, we forgot. And all we're here to do is to remind ourselves. And I think the principles that we are sharing are rather simple, sometimes counterintuitive at times. Makabel, I found them counterintuitive, but then when you actually think about them, there's such a pshat, it's such a paradigm shift, such an axiomatic truth that the moment you remember, it's like, oh, okay. And it's not about, we spoke about this yesterday in the women's Gevurah, it's not about achieving. People have this reality, and it's true to say the Sfarim HaKadoshim speak about this, that we have to work on our midos and be centered and be calm and constantly work on ourselves. This is true. However, in process, it's remembering that we fall. And one of the tzaddikim here mentioned the Chazal in Shabbos and other places that when we go up, after we graduate from this world, which we'll see what will happen, because maybe that whole process, it happens very, very quickly. So when Techiyas HaMeisim occurs, we'll have to graduate for a moment in order to come back down. So, Mistama, everything that's codified in Shas will occur as we transition into what's called La'asid Lavai. So when we go up, when we graduate from this world, we're going to be asked about working, we're going to be asked about honesty. We have 6 to 10 questions that are asked. It's interesting, not one of them is, did you fall? And the reason being, did you fall? Did you have an afila? The reason why, this is a question that's asked by some of the Avodah Tzaddikim. They asked, did we fall? Didn't it make sense? No, because we know we're going to fall. Already the Gemara in Gittin tells us, you can't learn Torah until you stumble over it. We know we're going to fall. The real question is, did you get up? Did you get back up? And Chavrai Kadisha, holy friends, to get up by ourselves is very difficult. It's not always easy. But to have people around you who have space for you and patience for you and to remind you, that's golden. That's golden. And we know even Moshe Rabbeinu, the Heilige Sasva Rebbe, we mentioned the Sasva Rebbe, the El Tefeta, he once, when I was sitting with him, he says, how do you know friends are so important? How do you know friends are so important? Because Moshe Rabbeinu, who had Moshe Rabbeinu had the deepest communication with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, yet he still went with Aaron, his brother, his friend. He still went with his friend. Even if somebody has a face-to-face relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not enough. We need our friends, we need our community. And this is something very important. And what I would share is that as we are working on building ourselves, growth, number one, is to be remembered as a reality functioning of what it is to be a human being. Ratza v'shov, mati v'lo mati, ebbs and flows. There's a natural rhythm, a cadence, a dance to life. And it's for us to remind ourselves of that, and it's for us to constantly grow. What does that mean, to grow? Even with whatever we're facing, to remind ourselves, just to remind ourselves, das, neshama, ruach, and nefesh, alignment, centering, and meeting reality as it is, not as it is not. What does it mean as it is not? That I want to remind ourselves that I'm always relating to my thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. That's where we are right now. We did one exercise before Pesach, and we'll go into the other 2 exercises to do with the world of emotions. But the Nakuda Pnimi, for us to remind ourselves of, is that I am consciousness, I am das, I'm awareness, and I could be aware, I could witness my thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. They are the lens in which I'm constantly perceiving this world. I can never fully rid myself of that. And to remind ourselves, I'm always relating to the lens of reality, And just to remind ourselves, not to be Bale Gaiva. What does it mean to be a Bal Gaiva? Most people think the world revolves around them. Now, what does that mean? Innocently, I'm my own being, separate from everybody else. But that's not true. You are a link in a chain. There's a beginning and there's an end of humanity the way it is after Chet Adam. And we are a link. That means we're carrying within us thousands of people. If you do the mathematics and calculation, 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16, goes on and on. You, in your body right now, in your Adam Kadmon right now, you, as you sit here, carry thousands and thousands of human beings. It took thousands and thousands and thousands of human beings to create you. Linearly, from a time perspective, and exponentially expanded, horizontal and vertical. Vertical and horizontal. You are part of that chain. But then you have what comes out of us. You have what comes out of us. All of those, Be'ezras Hashem, some people are not blessed with children, but all of those that are blessed with children, then that is coming out of us. So you are a chain, you're always a chain. And the more that I'm a Baldas, the more that I'm a Balasdas, the more I can remind myself to be centered and to recognize I am consciousness. I'm consciousness. There's a neshama, there's a nefesh. I'm in ruach. I'm found in ruach. Elokai neshama shenatata bi. My neshama's taken away from me. My neshama's given back to me. Who's the bi? The bi is das. That's the witness, aid. And we, my friends, we can remind ourselves, and this is what humanity needs at the end of days, which we are in this Tekufa right now. We're constantly told again and again and again, there's going to be, and there are monumental changes that are happening in front of us. Now, it's sometimes difficult to see because we're in it. But if, I remember, I've mentioned this before, I remember driving with my great uncle, Uncle Eva, Tzio Eva, and we were driving to Sfas, and he saw a sign for Sfas, and he started to cry. Because when he was younger, one of the first times he came to Eretz Yisrael, there was no signs like that. When I'd speak to my grandfather was here in Eretz Yisrael, pre-state. Again, there's miracles that are happening in front of us. Now, how we want to codify those miracles, unfortunately, sometimes they become weaponized. These miracles sometimes become weaponized in different philosophies, for or against. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the simple revelation of the reality that we're coming back to our land, for example. We are having a voice. Now, whether we paskin again, we're just picking up on something as in reality. Now you bring in Torah, whether it's Kibbutz Galius, whether Kibbutz Galius only occurs when Moshiach comes, all of that, I'm not talking about that. And I'm trying time and time again to bring us to a place, as Rabbi Moshe Shapiro would tell us, this clean place of Das, having the ability to see reality for what it is. Then after that, we can start speaking and superimposing Torah principles coming from Shas and Poskim and Halacha. But first we have to have the recognition how I function as a human being. That I'm consciousness and I am the Merkava. You and I, we are the Merkava. We are channeling God light into us, through us and out. And the quality of our Tikkun Hamidos, the quality of that system is dependent upon your choice, my choice, our choice to cleanse ourselves. And the more I realize that I am consciousness, and the more that I realize, good morning, the more I realize that I can in fact heal. Again, tikkun, the word tikkun, which means to fix, is etymologically as well related in the Aramaic, beautify, to beautify. I can choose that. I can choose that. Now again, you can be in the process of healing and you can fall. You could be in the process of healing and you could be sick. That's okay. It's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction. We create these contradictions because we're constantly measuring. This is how I should be and this is how I am. So obviously something's wrong. There is that element to growth, but there's as well another element to growth, being in the game, being in the system. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be in the game. So I can be a baldas on a level where I'm completely switched off. My das is completely stuck up my nefesh. And that's okay. That's okay. And then somebody reminds me, and it's like, oh, I do want this. And then I fall again. That's okay. And then it could be, I'm reminded and I can hold it for a split second. That's okay. So there's this journey of growth, which is a tiv'i journey of growth, which is the recognition of where we are going to get to. We are going to be Balei Ruach HaKodesh. We are going to be Nevi'im. We are going to be a nervous system. This brain of planet Earth with a nervous system is awakening. It's going to happen. So we don't have to get so caught up. What we need and what we want, and it's coming up to the Biala Rebbe's Yortzeit, to remind ourselves, when we go to sleep at night, did I have a little bit of a better day than yesterday? Did I have a good day today? Did I do things to help me enjoy life and help others enjoy life? Yiddishkeit is very beautiful if we allow it to be. And it's a reminder. And Baruch Hashem, so importantly to learn halacha. I was talking to a Paisek yesterday, and we're dealing with an Indian of Gittin, and I sent this Yid to speak to this Dayan. And he got off the phone, and the person who I sent to this Paisek, he called me up, and I spoke to the Paisek just to make sure I could support this person who's going through whatever they're going through. And the person who I sent to speak to this Paisek, he called me up because he's so happy. I had a conversation with myself and with my wife. Eventually, they're going to not be a wife anymore, and husband. And he was so happy, and we felt so good. He was so, at the end of the conversation, I asked him, I said, how comes you're so happy? So he says, number one, I had good chinuch and I had good teachers, but I want to tell both of you, it's because I learned halacha. When you learn halacha and you recognize the diversity in halacha, you're free. You're free. I learn Hilchos Tshuva, and I learn halacha, how to relate to life every day. So what happens? I'm not locked in. I understand how to act in a situation according to God's way. And that frees you up. When you don't know halacha, oh, what do I do? What do I do? That's if you take halacha seriously. You're constantly questioning, is this okay? Is this not okay? And it's very interesting. From a psychological perspective, when we understand how to act in society, we understand the rules. Everything has rules. When we understand those rules, we feel somewhat better. And when we understand the rules of the background of Yiddishkeit, how I work, typically people, after a certain amount of time, or even radically quickly, you feel more centered. You're not, as I spoke to somebody this morning, and they are feeling so much shame. They went through whatever they went through, and they're feeling so much shame. They couldn't get up for work, and they missed 2 days of work. It's a whole balagan. Felt so much shame. And I said, this person knows these teachings. And I said, can I gently remind you of something? And he said yes. And I said, you are relating to your thoughts in the present moment. You're relating to your thinking in the present moment. You have chosen only because you forgot. And I may tell you now, and you may choose again. Unconsciously, you may choose again to relate to your thoughts. But you are not shame. You are not guilt. You are witnessing guilt and shame, and you have taken it on as your identity. And for a second, it was, that heaviness dropped. He's in America, he's gone to sleep, we'll see what happens. But the nakuda is that when I remember I'm relating to my thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations, when I remember the rules of the Tselem Elokim, maybe, just maybe, you will create a little bit of space, the size of the eye of a needle. And that's where it begins. And if he falls again, that's okay. He knows that I'm not going to judge him negatively. Why am I not going to judge him negatively? Simply because that's how we work. What? He doesn't know he's not in a bad space? I have to come and tell you, oh, this is typical, this is terrible, preposterous, terrible, you should get up, go to Minyan. He doesn't know that, he's a fool. So many of us are not fools, we're very smart. We know where we are in our own cycles. We don't need somebody else telling us that. Sometimes you need a good kick up the tuchas, 100%. Sometimes you need a good kick up the tuchas. And certain mashpiyim, I told you, Dayan Lopian, a few times I got his Shabbos cane. He used to smack me with his stick, and if I asked a dumb question, really, he would smack me with his Shabbos stick, and I'd have like bruises. Like when I'd get changed, my wife would say to me, oh, you ask dumb questions again, because I'd like bruises, three bruises. Whoa, you didn't think at all this time? Reb Moshe Shapira, he would give you what for. But again, first of all, I knew he loved me, and you wouldn't do that to somebody who you can't do that with, but you need to kick up the tuchas. You need Gevurah. Gevurah is our friend. Unfortunately, we live in our generation where things become distorted. Everyone has to be nice to each other. No, they don't. Sometimes you have to be harsh. It's okay. And sometimes I heard somebody speak about creating a school where everyone's so nice to each other and loving. So you'll set up a generation of kids who will get knocked down every 5 seconds. No, you don't want that. When you understand the architecture of the soul, you recognize there's Gevurah. You recognize things don't go in our way. You recognize sometimes you get something incorrect. And you have to be Gevurah in order to create that alignment. But when it comes out of the heart from someone who really gets you and appreciates you, and you as the receiver recognize that everything is a divine expression, you grow from it. You grow from it. So there's the background of how we work, neshama, ruach, and nefesh, and Ein Sof coming down. I'm relating to my hod, netzach, and yesod, my feelings, thoughts, and physical sensations. My thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. They are my lens. That's a middah. That's a middah. And I'm channeling Hashem's light. I want to breathe in. Hashem's light. And shine it down into the nefesh. And correct our middos. Correct our middos. So as a Hagdama, going into what this Yid asked, which was the first on the WhatsApp about our Shiurim, I just want to take a moment, remind ourselves, change and transitioning. Wherever we were outside, it's okay, we've come in here. Remember, das tachtoin chitzoni, just to remind ourselves the space we are in. Just look around, the space we are in. Thank you to the Beis HaMedrash. Thank you to the Beis HaMedrash. Many years the Beis HaMedrash has been here, a safe haven, a place to daven, a place to learn. Thank you, Beis HaMedrash. Never ever think the Beis HaMedrash and we codify things as inanimate objects. Nothing is inanimate. Everything is alive. Everything is alive. Thank you to the Beis HaMedrash. And Gevurah, look around at the beautiful people here. Just look around the beautiful people. Recognize that we're all trying to find our way. We're trying to find our way. The women could look at the women. I'll look at the men. But just to recognize we're all trying to find our way. And there's a background at Tselem Elokim to how we work. And there's a foreground of Torah and mitzvahs, as we mentioned right at the beginning. And to recognize the more that we can create a situation where there's das tachtoin chitzoni, the space I'm in, and the people I am with, and the time, it's perfect alignment. I'm always in the most perfect of places, with the most perfect of people at the most perfect of times. Olam, Shana, Nefesh. Sefer Yetzirah 6.1. The reality check, all nested in Makom. And now, das tachtoin pnimi. I'm always relating, and this is where we're up to. Deepening our investigation, the journey begins, an awakening, and deepening our investigation with this supplementary material that we are doing right now. The recognition I'm always relating to my thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. Pshutai. Stage 1, das tachtoin chitzoni, external awareness, das tachtoin pnimi. And as we said, the nakuda is just to remind ourselves and to hear this. Let it wash over you. Do not think too hard about it. Don't try too hard. Don't try too hard. Inside, as you go in, left-hand side, you'll see the contrasim. I think there's...
Pointed to the right and said left.
Thank you. Very good. That side, right-hand side, you'll see straight away, you'll see the boxes. I think there's a few there. There's Journey Begins Awakening, and then you've got the supplementary material. We have to print more. So just to take note of that for a moment. Das tachton chitzoni, das tachton pnimi. Take a breath and be here. And whatever will be, will be. I have no idea. For me to say, oh, this is inspiring, who knows? This could be like depressing as heck. Who knows? Maybe you're fed up. Who knows? But we'll kapshutai, just poshut. No airs and graces, no airs and graces. So the reason why we reminded ourselves of what we just said is because we're going to take a moment to speak about the foreground of Sefirah Omer, the background of Olam Shana Nefesh and the foreground of Sefirah Omer, and then we're going to go into the Kuntrus, and it's all going to give us at least something to recognize. The same system is found everywhere. This is found everywhere, and there can be an enriching experience with every mitzvah. Sometimes we have to give it more time, sometimes less time, but the nakuda is it's there for you. So before we carry on, any questions with the Hagdama that we've just given? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Rob mentioned Gevurah is our friend.
Gevurah is our friend.
How did Rabbi Shapiro, for example, know when to use Gevurah? In other words, how can we know when to use Gevurah for ourselves and, let's say, for our kids or people that we encounter?
So I asked the same question to Rabbi Moshe Shapira. I asked the same question. It takes being a baldas. Das is in Gevurah. Remember, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. The more a person is a baldas, the more they can assess in the moment how much Gevurah to use. So I once asked Rabbi Moshe, it's a practice. And sometimes you get it more, and sometimes you get it less. It's real time. It's real time. So there's times where I could say to you something a bit more harsh, and I missed the boat, and you came in back and told me I was upset because of this and this and this. And that's because I missed the boat. But there's times where I'll say something and I'll get a smirk from you, because I hit it. Same with you and your life around you. And it takes shikul das, it takes a shikul hadas, it takes a centering, and sometimes we get it wrong, sometimes we get it right. There's no easy answer. But the more that I can for a moment just center myself and take a stab at it, but most people are frightened to do it. But this is as well to do with discipline. Again, we live actually, who is Megala the Kates? Chazal tell us, Yitzchak. Din is Megala the Kates. Why? Because actually in our generation, again, there's so many layers of the unfolding of these ideas, but they all revolve around the same system. So we are, as the Arizal brings in Lukutei Torah, to Metaken, Hod, Netzach, and Yisod, the last triad of spheres, which on one layer and on one level we've suggested is gratitude, optimism, and resilience. However, and there's 2,000 years of Tov Vavol, 2,000 years of Torah, 2,000 years of Yemais Moshiach. Those 2,000 years of Yemais Moshiach is Bechin of Din, Yitzchak. Either you could look at Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, so there's an element of Yaakov, or you look at it, believe it or not, Abraham, Yaakov, and Yitzchak. Depends. If you look at it linearly, Abraham, Yitzchak, or Yaakov, or Abraham, and Yaakov on one side, and then Yitzchak. It depends how you look at it. But we know that Yitzchak is Megala Kate, so we need to own discipline once again and become friends with discipline and scheduling in a healthy way. So hefkerus, we know there's a hefkerus today. We know that. So sometimes we have to go through the hefkerus and let go in order to redefine and connect. And to become a master at das will help you become a master at wielding din. And it's not easy. Like any avodas Hashem, there's the process. There's the product and there's the process. Yiddishkeit is very much involved in the process as well. And beginnings are wonderful, middles are messy, and the ends are glorious. That's it. And we're in the middle.
The ends are what?
Glorious. We're in the middle. We're in the middle. We are in. You have Chet Adam, you have Geula. We're in the middle. And the middle's messy. And the more we are a baldas and we understand the back end, how I function, then as I meet reality, as I meet Torah and mitzvahs, it gives me the ability to hold what's going on. But again, just an important akuda, to do it by ourselves is very difficult. And that's why, since the times of the destruction of the Second Temple, Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana set up the Chaburas. And it trickled down from generation to generation, what became called the Nistarim. Another name for the Nistarim is Machane Yisrael. And they were a group of people that could come together and hold each other. And we said yesterday, just to show you the Nakuda of Din, and to show you the Nakuda of centering, listen to this. This is something, a Musa Heskel. By the Nistarim, they would go out and they would, very sneers, in a sneers way, they would go out and they'll help people. They'll wear typical clothing. They would be the secretive society. And their mission was to bring Rachamim in the world, to go and educate, to help people. And you would never have to say thank you to a Nista. If somebody belonged to this group, they were so centered within themselves, no thank you. They didn't have to be recognized. They can come into a makom, get what they need done and leave. No one has to see them. No one has to hear them. That's the level of security that they were at, them and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But obviously, we do need each other. That's why you have the Gevurah. The Gevurah is a close-knit group of Chevra. You don't even have to be friends. It's an amazing thing. I've heard time and time and time again by different members of the Gevurah. They're not necessarily the best of friends. They're coming from different worldviews, but they can identify in each other more than their closest friends or even family. Because you're in a state of das and you're working with the person in front of you. That's the level of maturity that we need to be functioning from. Now just imagine if people lived like that. You're so much joy, you have so much joy, you feel so good. And if you don't, you've got somebody you can work with. Just imagine a society that worked like that. People are just getting things done quietly, no airs and graces, no thank yous. Just making this world a more beautiful place because you see it as your divine opportunity. There's a divine encounter and a divine experience. This is my divine encounter and my divine experience to Megale God light in the world. And it makes life better for everybody, for you and for everybody. As the Biala Rebbe says, at first you can go to bed at night, and remember we spoke about these 4 dargas based on Rav Ashlag, receiving to receive, where a person like a little child just receives, receiving or giving to receive, where then you mature a little bit, and if I do something, I get something back. Then the next level of psycho-spiritual growth is giving to give, where I can give and I feel good. Then you've got the highest darga, receiving to give. So this nakuda of giving to give, the Biala Rebbe said, everybody can reach this darga. The major challenge is we just don't speak about it. We don't speak about it. So for example, when we speak about Torah mitzvahs, we, unfortunately, are at a darga collectively, and there's nothing wrong with it in context. We're at a darga where if I do mitzvahs, I get schar in olam haba. But the darga we want is that I do mitzvahs because Hashem told us to do mitzvahs, and you could feel good. I can go to bed at night and feel good. That's a darga that we should be on, that we can be on. It's not difficult. Schar in olam haba is secondary. This is actually halacha, as the Biala Rebbe, Zichron Livracha, showed in the Rambam. It's like, okay, I love you, Hashem. Yes, I feel good. That's okay. That's okay. And if a person naturally keeps on growing, they reach this darga, which is a very interesting darga, where you just feel joy, and you're in flow. You're doing things because it needs to get done. No one has to say thank you to you. And you feel good. You feel good. Just thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're not numb. It's not numbness. I just feel good. Based on this deep, intimate relationship with the divine. And we may feel it here and there. And remember, when we speak about Hashem, there's this, I remember by Dain Lopian, one time I brought a Yidden, he's speaking about Hashem. He was asking questions about Hashem, it was about Tshuva. And Dain Lopian said to this Yid, he says, tell me, let me ask you a question. Say, for example, I'm speaking to you, or I'm speaking to somebody about you, and you're sitting over here. So I'm speaking to somebody, his name was David. So tell me, you know this Yid David? And David's sitting over here. Oh, I know this Yid David. Yeah, what's he like? Oh, David is like this and like that. Oh, okay. I met him, he was a bit odd. He said, yeah, sometimes he could be a bit, but he's okay, he's good. He's really, and David's sitting over here. And I keep on talking for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So Dain Lopian said that's what it's like when we speak about Hashem. Hashem's here right now, we're in it. Makom, we're in it. We're in it. It's a shift in our consciousness. And through this background avodah, we can create this shift. But what we want to understand is there's ups and downs, ebbs and flows in this shift.
What is the point about speaking about Hashem? I'm not sure why you're doing that.
People ask questions. What is Hashem? What do we believe in? What do we believe in? What does it mean, Hashem?
Man in the sky.
So people are...
Us with a big stick.
Yeah, lightning rod and big stick, and he's wanting to zap us the whole time. It's important to speak about Hashem. Why are we doing Torah mitzvahs?
I thought at a point, the point you want to make about speaking about Hashem, when you and Dain Lopian...
Yeah, this yid, what Dain Lopian was trying to show this yid is that you're asking me questions about Hashem.
Yeah.
And the mashal is that just as I could speak to somebody else about you and you're sitting in the room, that's what this conversation is like now, because we're in Hashem. Hashem is here with us. And the more that we could become balei das and recognize nefesh and the nakuda of din, how to measure it, it's real life. It's real life, but we're in it. We're with Hashem. Yes?
Why do you think, if there's like a general reason, I know it's specific, each person has their own functioning, but like, what would be like a general reason why it's so hard for so many of us to really live off of doing good, nice things and actually be okay without getting recognition?
So why is it good for us? Why is it difficult for us to actually do good things without recognition? I'll tell you why. On a certain respect, we've been educated into it. We've been educated into it.
So you're saying a deep part of us believes that it's not right? If we don't get that?
People feel guilty. Do you know how many people I speak to who feel guilty that they find it difficult to do something without someone saying thank you to them? We've been educated into it. We've been educated out of what it is to be a Tzelem Elokim, and we need to find our way back to being a Tzelem Elokim. We have to have those few people in our life who cherish us, those few people in our life who are non-wavering. Do you know how many people I spoke to? I'll tell you a funny maisa. Many years ago, there was a yeshiva in Bet Shemesh, and there was a yid in the yeshiva who did very, very well, and unfortunately he left Yiddishkeit. And this doesn't normally happen, but sometimes it happens. Everyone's trying their best. You hear sometimes people putting people down. It's a funny thing. Someone said to me, their rabbi said that they're coming from a different school of Yiddishkeit, and the rabbi said they gave a shiur that in like the Haredi world, they'll tell you to completely redo your kitchen, cover everything, or not even cover it. You have to change this and change that and change the other for preparation for Pesach. And it made it sound, what this rabbi was telling this yid, so difficult. Tachlis, what happened is their flights were cancelled. They were meant to go back to America. They came to me, and I sat with them, and I went through what they have to kasha, and they said, oh wow, that's so easy. That's so easy. That's not so difficult. I said, yeah, if you do cleaning for Pesach properly, it takes you a good few hours. The kitchen area, it'll take you a couple of hours, not even, it could say 40 minutes. 40 minutes. They sent me pictures of their kitchen. Most things they were putting in a cupboard. And in Mamash, it took them 45, 50 minutes to kasha their kitchen. And this was a day before Pesach. Okay. And then they told me this maisa. So before I say this, we have to be careful, because it's very good to put different groups down. But the nakuda is, this yid was telling me that, or it does happen that what happens is somebody leaves a yeshiva and they're now not frum. So no one speaks to them anymore. People don't speak to them. Sometimes this happens. And this yid was a yid who 13, 14, 15 years ago, I'm still in touch with him today. He lives a non-frum life, and I'm still in touch with him today. Now, it's very interesting. See, he asked me, he says, why are you still in touch with me? He says, because I love you for you. I love you for you. And what happens is we get caught up in our own thinking. And because we get caught up in our own thinking and we get lost in our own thinking, we relate to the lens of this opinion, that opinion, the other opinion. And if, for example, you come to a place once a week and you're just reminded to be present, like now maybe, just to be present, and just to have that space to recognize, nervous system from fight and flight to rest and digest. Let me ask you a personal question. You asked a question, how comes? When you do turn up, or when you do remember what we are sharing, for a split moment, is that experience different? Okay. So for a split moment, the experience is different. That's it. Open up the eye of a needle with other people together and let it expand.
Isn't it true that we're brought up to always be Makatov to emotion? Everything he does, our whole entire conscious is Makatov. So here too, we think it's the same thing. So if you're doing something to someone, they're Makatov to you. Isn't that the same concept?
Correct. So if we've been brought up to be Makir Tov. We've been brought up to be Makir Tov. So if somebody does something for somebody, they should say thank you. Who is the responsibility on to say thank you? Who is the Hakaras HaTov on? The Chefsa or the Gevurah? It's actually as halacha sugya that the Chida brings with selling a field and tzedakah. Who is the responsibility for gratitude on you, the giver, or the receiver? The receiver. So if a person is not Makir Tov,
Put them in their place and yell at them.
you can put them in their place and yell at them if you want, or you can have a quiet word if you're in a position to, just to let you know there is an Indian of Hakaras HaTov. You don't have to say thank you to me. Don't say thank you, but just remind yourself. Just it's good to say thank you. It's not on you. That's why I said if you know the person, don't be passive aggressive. That's why it's better to leave it. That's why it's better to leave it.
Practice with your spouse.
Practice with your spouse, yes. Ken? I would suggest with what you're saying about how people are taught about Hakaras HaTov, but this is the main issue that we face. The main issue that we face is because we don't know necessarily fully how we work, that there's the intellect, there's the emotions, there's the body. We can hear lots of Divrei Torah and Shiurim, and it comes into us, and we know it, but it's not necessarily allowed to trickle down into our guf. It's not necessarily practiced. So for example, even though we have a whole conversation about what techniques are and practices, but the Nakuda, for example, by the Muslim movement, is they would practice saying thank you. So the Nakuda of actually hearing something, emotionalizing it, and consciously, deliberately, mindfully practicing it is very important and typically missed. And if that progression did help, it would change everything. So we practice here. We practice welcoming each other. So on Friday nights, we say, please turn to one another. If you see somebody who you don't know, or if you do know, say hello to them. Wish them a good Shabbos, Shalom Aleichem. Because we can often come to the Beis HaMedrash and see people we've known for months and months and months and never acknowledge them. We can go shopping and we put the money on near the till and a hand comes and takes it, but that's it. There's no shoulder, there's no body, there's no human being. If we're not trained, das tachtoin chitzoni, we miss it. So you're making a very good point. We have, Rabbi Moshe Shapira Zichron Livracha once said, if we would stop learning now, we have all the information in our head to serve us for, he threw out the number 26,000 years. We've got a lot. We've got a lot. So does that speak to what you're asking a little bit? Yeah.
Do it just for us. Doing it no shaykhs to that other person responding to us. So when asked, I was just addressing, it's not just on general education. I thought it's education that the reason that we sometimes maybe expect that people want to hear things is because we're always thinking.
Yeah, we're always thanking. So in a state of das, you're in your square. You're in your own daladamos. That means I do something, and part of relating to your thinking is relating to your expectations and assumptions.
Right.
So you drop that.
That's what I'm dropping.
And there's a healthy way to drop it and an unhealthy way to drop it. So the more that I can be in a position that I'm comfortable in myself and I can say thank you, because it's my opportunity to create that window to see, hear, and experience and say thank you, and I've practiced it, and I bring it from the Moichin, and I bring it all the way down from the Moichin, from Chabad to Chagat, from Chagat to Nehim, I bring it all the way down, and I'm a conscious, deliberate practitioner of gratitude. I can be grateful, and in a state of das, I'm not expecting anything from the other. Because it was never about, on one side of the coin, it wasn't about the other. It was my opportunity to express.
Same with tzedakah.
Correct,
That
yes.
we give not because we're waiting for the other person to tell us that they're reliant on us and that they thank us for what we give. We
Yes.
give because what we have is there for us to give.
Yes.
And it's our avoda to give it with pleasure as
Nachon.
opposed to make the other person say thank you.
Nachon.
So it's,
Yeah.
That's only on the level of receiving to give, though.
Fine. And receiving, no problem. No problem. Context. I'll add in one nakuda, and then I want to speak about Sefirah Omer, and I want to do one exercise today. Again, this is all connected. The one point that is being suggested here is actually the nakuda of, just listen to this for a minute, it's very fascinating. The nakuda of true chesed is very much related just to you on a certain respect. The highest form of chesed is Chesed Shel Emmett. So a person has graduated from this world, that you can't get anything back from them. You're not expecting anything back. If you did get something back, you may be a little bit shocked. You may be a little bit shocked.
Or tzaddikim will say, do this, and then I'll do what I can for you.
True, okay, true. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about Gepshutai. A person does Chesed Shel Emmett. They belong to the Gevurah Kedisha, whatever it may be. They're doing it, and they're not necessarily getting something in response. A Chesed Shel Emmett, they're not getting something back. It's the purest form of Chesed. It's interesting because some of the tzaddikim, they write in the Sfarim, it's brought by the Kozhnitzer, the Ropshitzer, it's brought by a few others well. The Meshech Chochmah brings this somewhere, I don't remember where right now. No, the Menucha for Simcha brings this. And what is it? That Chesed, when we speak about Chesed, where do we learn about Chesed? We have one real expression of Chesed. We have an expression of Chesed from Avraham Avinu. And what is that expression of Chesed? Now listen to this sequence of events. At first, Avraham Avinu believed that doing Chesed was doing something for the other person, and it's me in how I want to do this particular thing for the other person. So, for example, Abraham became rich, Lot became rich. Abraham became famous, Lot became famous. Where did Lot run off to? Sodom. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. Leave me alone. Chesed done unhealthily is abuse. No boundaries. And even with what we learn from Avraham Avinu after Bris Milah, this is where the switch and change of a purest chesed is learned. What happens is that Avraham Avinu has his Bris Milah, and a few days later, Tachlis is that he's in pain physically, but what's more of a pain? That he has no visitors. And he cries to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no visitors. So what does Hashem do? Hashem turns up the weather, because no one can come out to give time for Avraham Avinu to rest. And 3 angels appear. Now, do angels eat? No. So the Nakuda of Chesed that we learn, and it goes on and on, the Nakuda of Chesed that we learn from Avraham Avinu is Avraham Avinu realized, my gosh, until now I've been selfish. Why couldn't Hashem just send 3 people to come and visit Avraham Avinu? Turn up the weather, to be Meshana Teva, to get Avraham Avinu to learn. Oh, look at that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you could have just sent me 3 people. Tachlis, I made you change Teva, and I made you send 3 people who don't even eat because they're angels, and according to the Zayah, he knew they were angels. Whoa, I've been a selfish so-and-so. Chesed has been about me, not you. Whoa. True Chesed is doing something for the other person the way they want to do it.
Who says that?
This is brought in a number of places.
That Avraham Avinu acted unselfish.
that he realized, it's brought in a few different places, the Koshenitzer, the Sfasemis of Buzhan, the Ropshitzer, that he realized that the chesed was not about me giving, it was about me feeding my wants and needs. And it was in that moment there's a switch where he then realizes it's about the other.
How did the situation teach you that?
He realized it's so awkward. Whoa, 1 minute. Hashem, you changed the weather? Oh, Hashem, you sent 3 angels? It was so odd. Why didn't you the question dawned on him. Why didn't you just send 3 people? It was teaching him. I'll do your chesed. But you have to realize, you have to chapshat. You have to, I can't get you to change. I can lead you and I can inspire you, hopefully, and machazik you. But at the end of the day, you have to realize it. That's how Hashem Yisbarach led Avram Avinu. He didn't give him the answer because you can't give somebody the answer if they're not right to hear. A lot of the time you have to figure it out yourself. So Hashem was Meshana the Teva, that created in Avraham Avinu this awkwardness. Whoa, 1 second, Hashem, why is it you did this and this and this? You changed all of Teva for me? Whoa, that's a bit odd. Oh, wow, okay, maybe I'm doing something a little bit off. Do you get that? It's the same way you can take somebody, you could take the horse to the water, but you can't force the horse to drink. You can speak to somebody, but it's up to them if they choose to listen or not. So the smartest way is to create a relationship and conversation to push them into a space for them to realize it for themselves. Greatest form of education.
Is just making it different so that he would think? Or
Yeah.
something about the fact that there are angels?
It's the same way. No, it's more posh than the same way. Say somebody is, say you are upset with somebody. Okay, there's 2 ways you could deal with it. You could deal with it where you attack them, but that a lot of the time doesn't help. But what you can do, if it's a real relationship, you could be a little bit cold. You Gevurah. From Chesed, you go into the Gevurah, you detach a little bit. When you detach, then it gets them thinking, why are you being cold? I'm just off a little bit with you. I'm a bit upset because of this. Oh. They have to, it has to start from the person. Growth can't start from somebody else. You can't force growth on somebody. They have to realize it. You have to realize it for yourself that you need to change.
Doesn't that situation then show closeness, not distance, that it doesn't wrong, but closeness?
Well, it can do. It can do. It can do. Again, it's how you navigate it. But Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes. Chesed is sometimes unhealthy, abusive relationship. Gevurah is I'm taking no more breaks. And then Tiferes is 2 healthy human beings coming together, for example. Yes?
Dr. Point said you cannot force growth. So do you think it's a good idea to, if you think someone needs to grow, to like try to facilitate that?
It's always about facilitation. To help someone grow is always about facilitation.
Once you're trying to facilitate growth, you're sort of like making yourself into a Rebbe.
No, you can facilitate, okay. Okay. So it's facilitating. Sometimes you can learn Hakar Satov through somebody acting with gratitude. You don't have to say something. The best teachers are the teachers that don't even open up their mouth about a midah, but that act it. And you learn from that.
You should go out on a person. Like, you use your judgment, right?
Use your judgment, correct. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if this is speaking to what you were talking about, but I just want to ask this in the same is there a benefit or a greater benefit to chesed when it's sacrificial as opposed to chesed when I have, like if I, let's say I'm thinking now, if I have an abundance of money, so much that I can just give to you easily, is there anything less to that act of tzedakah than I don't have, and I'm going to take from the little bit that I don't have, and I'm going to cut off, and I'm going to give to you? Because when you said Hashem stopped nature for him or changed nature, like that's easy for Hashem. Like he didn't do anything sacrificial.
Correct.
He just was Hashem was just himself in a flowing way where he was able to see the other. Like the reason why I got confused was because like when you say he stopped nature, it feels like he did something so big, but he really didn't. Because for Hashem it was very, very easy. It was just that he did something that was significant for the other, but he did something that was easy for him. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
also, like,
Let's see.
also that he
Is it my responsibility? So there's two things here. One, the first question, let's deal with one thing at a time. The first nakuda, it was easy for Hashem to do, so to speak, miracles because Hashem's Hashem. And the nakuda is, with tzedakah, is it better that if somebody's got an abundance of money, they can just give? And if somebody has a little bit of money, it's more mesirus nefesh to give. So is one better than the other? Yes. Yeah. It's the same. Yeah, it's relative. It's relative. It's relative. That's why we have a halacha of 10%. It's all relative to the person. So a person who has a lot of money, it could be there's an expectation it's easier for them to give tzedakah than a person who doesn't have money. That's not true. A person who has a lot of money, it's difficult to give money like a person who doesn't have money. It's the same. So the nakuda is, it's down to a person's attitude. Number one, it's down to a person's attitude and recognizing that in the world of something being easy or difficult, both context-based, both are important.
Right, I'm asking more like, is it also chesed, is it chesed when I do the things, when I stay in my lane, which is the way I see it, the things that are easy for me and simple for me to do for other people. For the other person that isn't, it's still chesed.
Correct.
I'm still doing chesed. And I feel like the need that I have for their appreciation is more when I go to I end up like being sacrificial for somebody else. When I'm overflowing with something and it's easy for me, I don't even need them to say thank you to me because it was like nothing off my back, but it was still chesed for them. I feel like we get into these issues of like, did they say thank you? Did they want to do it in my control?
No one ever has to say thank you to you. That's the honest truth.
My question is, do we have to do chesed that's sacrificial? That's my
Do we have to do sacrificial? That means, am I to be meiser nefesh when I do? Yes, of course. Sometimes I don't want to do something for that person, but if you're in a relationship with them and it's the correct thing to do, you do it, even though it may be difficult.
But that's not what defines doing chesed. It being sacrificial is not what defines doing chesed. What defines doing chesed, if I'm understanding correctly, is acting in a way that the other person needs regardless
Correct.
of how you feel
Yes.
about it. So
Yes.
even
I would even say that if I'm in a relationship with somebody and something is hard for me, but I care about that person and I want to do it, then I actually am doing what I want to do.
That's chesed. That's chesed, regardless of what's happening within you. Yes.
No,
Yes.
a part of you wants to do it and a part of you doesn't, and you're choosing to listen to the part of you that does want to do it because the relationship is more important than the little part of you that's saying, no, I don't want to.
Right, but if you're not overpowering that.
No,
you're
but that's
Doing
chesed.
what's
That's
needed for the other
exactly.
person
Regardless.
How you feel just does not matter. So
Exactly.
Abraham,
Yeah.
Hashem, it was easy for Hashem to change nature. It's not a big deal that Hashem changed nature from Hashem's perspective. But from Abraham's perspective,
It got him thinking. It got him thinking.
So Abraham had to stop and think, why would Hashem change nature to stop me from doing chesed?
You hear this,
Because
yeah?
my chesed
You hear what's
is
being
not
said.
chesed. My chesed is just, it is chesed. My chesed is just doing for others. But if angels are coming to me and I'm still giving them food, clearly I'm not doing it because it's what they need. I'm doing
Exactly.
it because it's what I need. I have to learn to make my feelings, regardless, completely not a factor in what I'm doing. I have to think of the other person. Right. That's chesed. Do we have to do sacrificial chesed? Yes, if the relationship requires it. If the relationship doesn't require it, the other person doesn't require it, then no, you don't. It's about what the other person needs, not what I need to do the chesed. I need to just look at what the other person needs and make my feelings.
So that's true chesed. Now, when, for example, unhealthy entanglement begins, or for example, there's a word, what's the word in relationship? Passive aggressive is when, for example, somebody turns around and says to another person, but look how much I've done for you. I've done this and that and the other. Well, no, you did it for you. You didn't do it for me. How do you know if it's an amidst or chesed? You don't feel resentful. If you really choose, you don't feel resentful. When you do it for the other person properly, and it's really for the other person, you don't feel resentful. They don't have to say thank you to you.
They don't have to say thank you, but I feel like if you are, again, going back to that word sacrificial, if I am negating myself and doing something for the other person because I have to do for the other person, then I feel that's where you need.
It's not really
But you don't, again,
It's not truly for the other
it's not truly for the other person.
You're waiting to say thank you. You're doing it for you so that you feel good about what you're
This is an important akudah that's being brought up with chesed.
really
So it's irrelevant. On a certain respect, it's irrelevant. What I'd like to do two things. I want to go into Sefirah Ha'omer, because this was a Hagdama for Sefirah Ha'omer, and I want to appreciate what you're saying. And this is shifts, psycho-spiritual shifts of Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes. Chesed is overflow without Gedarim, which can be abusive. We want to be Balei Das. What does it mean to be a Baldas? Bechin of Gevurah, it's connected to Gevurah. That means regardless of the other person, I can always hopefully show up to them and give what they need. And the testing is that if I've done it correctly, I won't feel resentment. If a person's done something and they feel that they get upset, they feel resentment, they didn't say thank you, that means you did not do the chesed properly, and sometimes it's a conversation. So when a person's doing something for somebody and it's called upon them, but they're feeling resentment, they can turn to the other person. I don't think I can do this anymore because I'm feeling resentment. It's not on you, it's on me. I have to work on that midah. That's an akudah of das, that's an akudah of gevurah. Now, what I want to show you is that Sefirah Ha'omer is all about this. Sefirah Ha'omer is a tikkun, structurally, neshama, ruach, and nefesh, and specifically using the midos, chesed, gevurah, tiferes, netzach, hod, yesod, all the way down to malchus. So chesed, loving kindness, or mechanically expansion. Gevurah is boundaries, mechanically contraction. And chesed is balance, harmony. Tiferes, thank you, is harmony, homeostasis. And in regards to tiferes, from a amidst perspective, beauty, balance. So listen to the words that we say with Sefirah Ha'omer. We say the L'Shem Yichud. This is brought by the Arizal. Remember, the pshat of Sefirah Ha'omer is counting the Omer to come to the Shtei Lechem. But we know from the Arizal they introduced a Tikkun Hamidos, so that there's a Chira and there's an inyan of Tikkun Hamidos that came later. We say L'Shem Yichud, and then what do we say? That we have this remembrance, so the pshat of us remembering why we're counting Sefirah Ha'omer, and we go into these interesting loshen. So we count Usfartem, okay, and we should count 7 full weeks. And what we read, and there's different L'Shem Yichuds. This is from the Biala Siddur. Lasos nachas ruach, to do a nachas ruach for the Creator. Lasos ratzon, to do your ratzon. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvaysav vetzivanu letachen, to fix up shoresh hamitzvah zu b'makom elyon b'shiur koima lahashlim ilan alin elyon. That what we are being asked to do is to recognize that I belong to something. I'm part of something. There's a neshama, ruach, and nefesh, and through me doing what I'm doing, and again, take the mindful practice of counting every day. The deliberate, monumental focus. I'm counting, I'm present, das, I'm relating to reality. And it's to metaken something in the himmel, in the heavens. And what am I using? Lahashlim ha'adam elyon, which again, there's an Adam elyon, which is all of the cosmos, but the Adam elyon is found in you. Remember, we've spoken about when you are metaken yourself, your healing is a global cosmos healing. And the external healing is an internal healing. Ulhagdim es sukas David lahachzir atar shafine. And what do we say? Ulavarer, to fix up. And we speak about the nefesh, to speak up to fix up the nefesh, to fix up the ruach, to fix up the neshama. Unitzoises kedusha shenaflu beklipos. That what we're saying is that from the times of Adam Rishon, after Adam Rishon, there was a disconnect between the neshama, ruach, and nefesh. And as we count the Sefirah Ha'omer, the L'Shem Yichud is directing us to alignment of the neshama, ruach, and nefesh. To pick up the Nitzoises Kedusha that fell, Al Yidei Adam Rishon, from Adam Rishon. And all of the Gilgulim, all of these Tikkunim in the, again, Hatikun Benafsheinu V'Ocheinu V'Shnamseinu, all of this in Atzilus Bri Yitzin Asiya, every parts of what the Sefirah Ha'omer L'Shem Yichud is pointing to, apart from the pshat of recognizing whether a Doraita or Dorabanan, there's a whole halachic lomdus of that. But it's asking us every day between Pesach, which we've now been free, we had a matanas chinam, we had a gift, and now we have to do the work. The first night of Pesach is a gift. If we felt that gift, whatever we went through, again, we're dealing with the subjective, but it's there regardless of us feeling it subjectively or not. Now we work and we build. Every single day is being pointed. We're being pointed to neshama, ruach, and nefesh. Connect to something higher, draw it down, and draw it through. And chesed. And when we are counting the Sefirah Omer, there's many different books, but we can recognize the meditation. We did this. We're not doing it now at the moment. Unfortunately, not Shacharis, not on Maariv. But we used to do this every night to read out from one of the Sfarim. Reb Daniel Frisch, Zichron Livracha, he has a book that every single night he brings a way to metaken. Bein Adam le Makom, Bein Adam le Chaveroi, Bein Adam le Atzmoi, to metaken a body part. And what we're doing, we're drawing in Ein Sof through that particular Sefirah, and how that manifests for us. We can ask the question, Chesed, this whole week of Chesed, not going into the Prate Pratim, but I can ask, breathe in Chesed, Hashem's Chesed, and where am I unhealthy in my Chesed? And you can even ask yourself, where am I unhealthy in my loving kindness? With Gevurah, breathing in boundaries. Spend a few minutes just breathing in boundaries. Where am I healthy? Where is it easy for me to have healthy boundaries? But where is it unhealthy for me? Where do I find it difficult? And you can ask yourself, your nefesh will answer you typically. You can ask your nefesh, where do I find resistance in healthy Gevurah? Where do I have entanglement in chesed? And this is a beautiful demonstration how back end, we're learning about the system, but front end, we could pump it into Torah and mitzvahs. We could pump it into Torah and mitzvahs. And this is something for us to think about. We have so many wondrous opportunities. And with those opportunities, these teachings that we learn just become enriched, making what we do hopefully more meaningful. And when we learn the halachas and when we learn the nigla, and then we can create a situation where we bring in the deeper teachings, the Avodas Hashem teachings, that we can create a union between the mind and the heart, between the inside and the outside, we feel better. And when we can have these micro or macro acts of mindfulness during the day, what starts to happen is that we feel different. We can go to bed at night like the Biala Rebbe said, and I counted the Omer today. I was mindful for a few moments. And this is something for us all to think about. And who needs to own it? I need to own it. You need to own it. But the more we can take the micro and the macro and these mindfulness practices which are secondary to the pshat, psak, halacha of counting the Sefirah Omer, it enriches our life. It enriches our life. So we're going to end here. I just want to remind us where we are up to in the Kuntras. We're not going to go further in the Kuntras today, but I want to remind us of where we're up to because this is part of this journey. So we did one exercise. So the emotions help us navigate life. They orientate us towards what nurtures us and away from what harms us. So again, that's the Nakuda with Sefirah Omer. When I'm dealing with Chesed, what and where I'm using Chesed well. And where is Chesed, where am I using Chesed in a harmful way? And what we want to say is fear, anger, defends, sadness releases, joy connects, and we listen to emotions as messengers. They guide us towards integrity and authenticity. The problem arises when emotions overtake our mind, or when our mind suppresses the body's natural emotion. The balance lies in feeling it fully without being swept away. Again, the process of Sefirah Omer is very much connected to this. Having a practice every night, counting the Sefirah Omer wherever we are, and we spoke about the general, then one can go into Gevurah Sheba Gevurah, Chesed Shel Emmett, etc., etc. But what we are asking of ourselves, okay, Chesed, where am I doing well with Chesed? Where do I have resistance? in Chesed? Where do I have a fall in Chesed? Gevurah the same, Tiferes, all the way down to Malchus, with whatever you understand of it. To feel consciously is to allow emotions to move, express and release without clinging or resistance. And the first exercise we did, remember we have Habata, even if you would want just to stop for a moment and place your attention on your breath, gently breathing in and out. And right now, again, in our exploration of our physical sensations, you ask, what am I physically feeling in my body? And right now we're in emotions. What emotions am I experiencing? It doesn't take long once we've been playing and experimenting and experiencing with this. So we did the first practice of cultivating an emotion and sitting quietly, breathing for a few moments and asking, what am I feeling right now? Notice sensations in your body. Where do I feel it? Movement, tightness, warmth, heaviness. And without judgment, give the feeling a name. Sad, angry, happy, calm, grateful. Breathe into it. That was the exercise that we did last time. Then we've got a couple of more exercises here. So this is an akud of habata. So in our Sefirah Emmett practice, you could take a couple of minutes and just align yourself. Again, decentralization, it's for you to own. Place your attention on your breath, asking what am I physically sensing, asking what emotions I'm feeling right now, what thoughts I'm witnessing. Journey begins an awakening, you have that there. And then with whatever you understand of the midot between Pesach and Shavuos, you have here a map. If you choose, and I invite you to choose, to spend a few moments just reflecting. Reflecting. Doesn't have to take long. Ask the question after you've brought in Hashem's love and light. Breathe in. Remind yourself, Hashem loves me. The three beliefs, if you would want, in the derech of Avodah. First belief, Hashem made a good world and wants us to live a good life in His good world. Second belief, I'm good and I've got the power to create the life that I want. The third belief, Hashem is good and Hashem wants to support me. Spend a few moments, breathe that into yourself, breathe it into your cognitive, into your emotions, flood yourself with it. Choose to believe and make real. Why? Because you can, it's good for us to do. Choose to believe and make real. Make pretend. Make pretend. If a part of you comes up and says, I don't believe it, we're pretending. Like children play games, we're just pretending. Flood yourself with that. And then you can ask, where am I doing well with Chesed? Where am I doing well with Gevurah? Where am I struggling with Chesed or Gevurah or Tiferes? And if that voice comes up, talk to it. Just listen. Sometimes it's about listening. I know you're there. Sometimes you don't have to give an answer. And we've spoken about this before, so I'll leave you to experiment and experience. And now, Be'ezras Hashem, just before we close the camera and we share, take a moment. What did you hear today that works for you? Spend a moment. What did you hear today? What did you hear today? I'm just a vehicle. Just trying to share some words. Hopefully in a clean way, connecting to Hashem with love and with transparency, just as a vehicle, receiving to give, and obviously receiving to receive. I feel good when I do this. But I'm asking of you, what did you hear today that helps you? You're allowed to feel good. We deserve to feel good. We're hanging on, Baruch Hashem, hopefully in a good way. Think about that for a moment. And now, once we switch on the camera, if you're by yourself, just take pad and paper if you want and write down, what did I get today? What have I gotten over these other sessions, these other Chabura meetings? How can I help myself, others, the world? How can I shift in seeing everything as the most glorious opportunity to reveal divine intelligence through little me in a loving, graceful way? And Be'ezras Hashem will break up and share, and mamash we should go from strength to strength, l'chaim, tovim, u'l'shalom.